There have been many hugely expensive projects in the US military that were either cancelled or massively scaled back. Military projects are expensive and new technology is always very difficult to complete. Often, the sheer complexity of the requirements makes the whole project massively over budget, significantly delayed, and then ultimately cancelled. It seems that America is the worst for cancelling massively expensive projects. This is a little unfair as America is also developing many more systems than its Western counterparts. And when it comes to countries like Russia and China, they are much more secretive and less transparent. They are also cancelling many expensive projects but do so quietly. Here are some of the most expensive cancelled American projects. Number 8. Zumwalt-class destroyer. After spending around $22 billion on this super-advanced stealth destroyer, it was plagued by its own ambition. As the costs rose, the orders were cut from the original 32 ships down to 3. With such a high R&D cost to be shared between only 3 Zumwalt-class destroyers, these are now some of the most expensive ships. To make matters even worse, their main guns don't even work. They are fitted with the advanced gun system, which can only fire one type of ammunition. The Navy will not be procuring any ammunition for these guns as it is so expensive. Number 7. Ra-66 Comanche. The Comanche was to be a stealth-armed reconnaissance and attack helicopter for the United States Army. 2 of these advanced helicopters were built as prototypes before the whole project was cancelled. 10 years ago, analysts were predicting how the Comanche was the face of future warfare, but instead of changing the battlefield, it was axed. The Comanche, like other projects, fell victim to soaring costs. Consequently, the Army has decided to look for other, cheaper solutions for scouting missions. The Army has instead decided to invest in using drones or unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, for this role. Number 6. Future Combat Systems. This program was to develop a replacement for the aging M1 Abrams main battle tank and Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. But after $32 billion had been spent, the project was cancelled with little to show for it. That is no small amount of money, that is more than the entire military budget of Australia or Canada in a given year and about half that of Russia's budget. At the heart of the program was the Future Combat Systems manned ground vehicles. The program was cancelled back in 2009. Numerous variants of this system had been planned. Number 5. Ground Combat Vehicle. The Ground Combat Vehicle was the successor to the ill-fated Future Combat Systems manned ground vehicles. This was a heavier version of the earlier system, and it too was soon cancelled. It's not clear how much they spent on this program, but it was likely many more billions. The prototype had been scheduled for 2015, and it was supposed to be fielded by 2017. Instead, it was cancelled in 2014. Today the Army is still looking for replacements for its Bradley and M1 Abrams but have so far had to be content with just upgrading old vehicles. Number 4. XB-70 Valkyrie. It's not just modern systems that get cancelled. This has always been happening, and one of the most noteworthy cancellations of the Air Force was the XB-70 Valkyrie. This was to be a record-breaking nuclear-armed, deep-penetration strategic bomber. But it was cancelled in 1969 after 2 prototypes had been built. It fell victim to the rapid development of missiles, to which it was ever more seen as vulnerable. The Air Force instead focused on its existing fleet and the development of ICBMs. President Eisenhower was confused by this project, thinking it was a dinosaur in the age of ICBMs. Number 3. Seawolf-class submarines. The Seawolf-class submarines were designed at the later stages of the Cold War and fell victim to the Cold War's end. The Navy had planned for a fleet of 29 of these massive attack submarines, but as the Cold War ended, procurement fell to 12 and finally just 3. In response to just 3 boats being ordered, the Navy decided to set to work on the smaller Virginia class, of which they planned to order an astonishing 66 boats. The Seawolf submarines are now reportedly the second most expensive submarines in history, after France's Triomphant-class submarine. Number 2. Hughes H-4 Hercules. The Hughes H-4 Hercules was built during World War II and is a truly remarkable aircraft and one of the largest in the history of aviation. It is a strategic airlift flying boat and is particularly remarkable for being entirely built out of wood because of wartime resource constraints, mostly birch. Only one was built, and it only ever flew briefly in 1947. The sole aircraft is now on display in Oregon. Even if the military didn't spend so much on this aircraft, it deserves to be on this list, as the then largest aircraft made of wood. Number 1. F-22 Raptor. The United States did buy around 187 of these powerful aircraft, so the program was not strictly speaking cancelled, just massively scaled back. The orders were reduced, and so only a fraction of the planned was ever procured. This was because of the cost of the F-22 Raptor program and the perceived lack of need for such an advanced air superiority fighter. In their short lives, they have also proved to be expensive to maintain, and they do not age well, plus it is difficult to upgrade them. Consequently, the Air Force has announced they will be retired early.